Okay, so welcome to Nexgen Software Services. I've got an announcement for you guys. We've created an automated trading system that will do trend trades for you. Before we go through this trade, I want to give you a little bit of an explanation about it, and then we'll come back and look at the trade. What I want to do first is go through the user guide and go through trend trade strategy in the user guide, so that way you guys can look at it. So NinjaTrader 8 indicators and user guide, and we'll go through the different parts and pieces, going through power plan setups. We'll skip all that, and then going through the chart templates and some of the inputs that the strategy goes through. What I want to do just real quick, I'm going to go through a short version of this, and go through the input meanings really fast, and then I'll show you what the strategy looks like on a chart and how you can take advantage of this. So again, what we're using an exponential moving average like our mid band, but a little smaller for entry areas. We're determining how far beyond termination areas. I want to preface this with everything that we've taught for the last 25, 30 years has gone into this strategy. So when you're watching your trigger lines and the strength and the momentum, and when you hit Fibonacci resistance or one-to-ones, that's what this is part of the strategy is. If a line is hit, say a mid-band or a one-to-one or divergence lines that make pivot stop outs, the strategy will stop trading until the trigger lines go beyond that area, and you can determine how many trigger lines where you want 2, 3, or 4. 3's been good, 4 may be better. These are inputs that you can adjust in your strategy. We've also set up session times, because if you run a couple months worth of replay, you'll find that there's times of the day where the market doesn't trade real well. So you can set up your strategy to trade anytime you want, and then you can set up your strategy to auto close. So let's say I've got mine set for 5 minutes before the NASDAQ close. So anyway, that's actually wrong. It's printed wrong. It should be 4:55. Anyway, short version. Let me go through the rules and what the strategy does really quickly. If there's a divergence on your chart, that's one of the rules. And if you highlight the rule, you can look down here we made a little rules grid at the bottom. It'll tell you when the rule is true for going long or true for going short at the bottom. We've got trigger lines crossed. Obviously, everybody who has Nexgen knows that. So when the triggers are both crossed up or down, it'll plot. But more importantly, down here in the grid, it'll show you where the condition is true or false. We have small triggers versus the large triggers, or the small triggers above or below, short version. And again, that's an input filter for the strategy. Small triggers versus the white EMA, which is the 21 EMA. That's what we use as our entry area. But where are the small triggers? Are they located above or below? And that's really all the filter is. Price itself versus the EMA, above or below. Another filter. And again, we don't want to use the EMA for going long if price is not above it. We don't want to use the EMA for going short if price is below it. So obviously we have to filter that. The other thing that you guys are very familiar with, if you're with Nexgen, is a tail. And when we have strong triggers and a pullback or a tail, this is where the strategy is going to enter. And again, keep in mind, this is a live strategy. It's not back testable. We design this to do everything that we teach going forward on the right edge of the chart. So while it will start out and be a tail and you'll get a down signal, it may make an up bar, and then that'll be the end of it. So again, it's an intra-bar live system that reads the market live on the right edge of the chart, and it does what we teach you guys to do on a regular basis. The other one filter that we have is a large trigger line versus the EMA, and this will keep it from doing trend trades against a very strong trend where you're not actually back above things. So again, just filters. We also have the mid band versus the EMA. So basically it's a moving average crossover. 55 EMA versus the mid-band, which is the 55 EMA. And again, down at the bottom, you can see when the conditions are true for shorts or true for longs or true for shorts again. And I know I'm kind of going through this very quickly, but you can read through this later. And then ultimately, once the market starts trending and the EMA gets too far below the large triggers, which is the number 9 filter, we're going to tell it how many, and there's a number 9 input up top, how many ticks below the large triggers are we going to allow that EMA before we take a trade. And once it gets too far below, it stops taking trades, which is usually very good. You guys can test that out. And then, one more that we added in, which was a complete price bar breakout above or below of the EMA. And again, when you turn on just a single rule, you'll be able to see where that rule is true for longs and shorts and where that rule starts, which will come in very handy when you're doing trades. The settings 11.1 to 11.7 are how far of a distance do you have from the entry for a profit target. Also, how many triggers must break an area in order to keep trading in the trend direction. So if you look at 11.1, it's how many triggers are beyond that line, and that's what it's going to be required to take that trade. The other thing that we do is we scan for entry area to the next line, and we have to have a minimum number of ticks, and again, that's adjustable. And then how close does price get to the area before we invoke a termination condition? You can set that for -2 to be a little before the area if you want, or 0 is at the area, and that's price hitting the area, which will stop the trend trade system. And then ultimately, all these filters down here at the bottom, these are the areas that are in the indicators that will be read by the strategy in order for you to use them in the system. And then we've got sessions for exits, so we can set a time session and say, we want to get out, but we also have a money section of this where if you hit a max daily loss, you can disable strategy signals. The cool thing is it'll still generate arrows, so you can decide if you want to keep trading or not. We've also written a profit target, and if it's hit, it doesn't stop trading, but it will enact a dollar trailing stop that says, hey, if I'm up $6,000 and I lose 1,500, stop. And if it keeps winning, it'll keep taking trades, but if it gives some back, it'll ensure that you don't give it all back. And again, these are all adjustable big numbers right here, but whether you trade a 1 lot or you trade 2 lots or 4 lots, this is kind of set up for a 4 lot, but you can adjust that as in your own. And then we also have an exit if divergence against you is true. And one of the really cool things that you guys are going to love, and we've taught this forever, having a checklist and making sure that the rules are true. We have a checklist built into the system. And you can enable the checklist. These are just colors of the checklist. And you can enable any account, sim, prop firms, replay. You can also run, we give you a couple base ATMs, but you can run your own ATMs. And we also will provide what's called a soft close indicator, which if the system's in a trade and you don't like it, you just hit the soft close button, and it will take you out of the trade without closing out or unenabling your trading system. And then ultimately, what I want to do is I want to show you, today's September 19th, and I just recorded a trade that the system did live. So let's go through and let's take a look at that trade that it did live, so you get a better understanding of the look of it. And before we do that, I want to talk about the grid. Each of the rules that you select to be true, all you do is go to the enable disabled button, right click, and then show the grid. And then down here at the bottom, you're going to see each of the rules, and the boxes themselves will fill up or they will be empty whether each of the individual rules is true. So you'll be able to watch your grid and see when you're very close to getting a trade. Everything but a tail usually is what happens, and once you get a tail, you'll actually get a trade. You'll also see a plot where the limit orders go for the system, and this is a really great way to communicate with tech support and show them what you're seeing on your screen, and to be able to ask if what you're seeing live is actually what you anticipate to happen. All right, so let's take a look at the trade itself. As you see, a limit order was placed by the strategy, and now it just got filled. Let me do this. Let me bring over the small chart along with the large chart. The one thing that the system does not do, and it's all of the work from the large chart done for you automatically, but it doesn't actually use the small chart. Right now, the strategy is set up to trade using an ATM. So it's kind of fixed stops and targets. What we're really, again, you can let it run, but I believe personally, and most of our clients so far have agreed with this who've been early running the strategy, managing using your small chart with the rules that we teach you is really important. Whether it's putting your stop behind pivots, or getting out if there's a lower divergence against you in a management situation, which I had one of those earlier. Maybe we'll take a look at that after this. And again, the strategy gets you in. The strategy tells you where the rules are true. You can see on the grid down there, there's a teeny tiny little blue arrow where the arrow on the chart came from. And short version is, the system itself isn't going to move that stop early. So I just moved the system below a pivot that had new higher price action than the last pivot. Now we have a new pivot in place, but the NASDAQ, it'll reach back and grab you sometimes. So as we make new highs, again, I will trail behind a new pivot in a manual sense, and then that way my risk will be reduced from the very high risk that the system starts out with to a very manageable, very low risk. And you can see now we can actually move our stop. Market's really strong, so again, we anticipate it to keep going. For those of you guys that are running our indicators on TradingView as well, if you saw the TradingView chart, it's got a high volume area and very strong looks as well. If you're not running TradingView, that's okay. You don't have to. Just kind of interjecting that. So you can see what I did. I've really minimized the risk on the strategy, and now we just hit the first $200 profit target for the first two contracts. So it goes break even plus 5 ticks automatically. And then, with the ATM, you can move your stops and targets wherever you wish. Even though it's a system and it will do the large chart work for you, it's still really important for you guys as traders to manage it and do the right things using the smaller chart. In a future revision, which lifetime owners will get, we are going to incorporate the major trade management rules from the smaller chart. Right now it's only large chart and large chart with an ATM, so you're going to have to do small chart management on your own. But the system will get you started, and it'll do everything. If you run this over a couple months of replay going forward, it makes ridiculous amounts of money. It does about 70 to 75% winners, which is what we've said, over all the time that we've taught trend trades, from a discretionary standpoint. Now you can see, we hit a pivot stop out on our large chart, and the small chart has nothing but room all the way up there to the end. So technically, that we could put the last target up there at the Fibonacci resistance if we get a big runner. But anyway, you're in full control. Once you hit a certain level in the ATM, it'll start trailing the stop a little bit tighter. And I think we need a few more ticks for that. So Again, this is where you guys will manage your trading system. The entries are automated, the rules are automated. I think you guys are going to be really excited when you see it. It does everything for you except manage on the small chart. So anyway, it's a really great start. We'll take a look. I won't bore you with anything longer here, but we'll show you how this trade ended up from one of the posts of one of the people in the room. And what we're going to do is continue some lifetime purchases. We're going to limit the number of lifetime purchases and do leases with the strategy. But due to too much demand and too many people wanting one, we're going to do a continuation of the lifetime purchase. The cost is $5,000. We're working on a version that will be leasable where you can do a demo of it. Right now, you can't do a demo of it. You either buy it or you don't, or you wait. Sometime in the next week or two, we'll have a version where you can actually do a demo of the strategy, and just contact your salesperson. They'll help you out and get you everything that you need as far as indicators if you don't have indicators, and then ultimately the trading strategy. If you don't own indicators, we'll do a combo package for you, save you some money. So anyway, I appreciate you guys taking the time. We're really excited about this trading system, and we look forward to helping each of you guys make a ton of money. I might add that if you don't have indicators and you need to get a demo of the indicators, please go to our website, nexgent3.com, click the demo button up top, sign up, put all your information in, give us a little bit of time. We'll get back with you. We'll get you installed with a demo of the indicators and get you into our live Discord room where we train traders how to make money. Thank you again.